Terrestrial Festival is only a couple of months away, and while the set is mainly looking to be a reprint set, it is bringing out a couple of, new cards. We of course have the Evolutions, each having their own Tera. We've had the announcement of some new secret art rares for a bunch of cards. We've had a new Badoo that's been announced, which is pretty decent. But one I'm going to talk about in this video is Regigigas. This is a 160 HP colorless type Pokemon with only one attack, but a very, very strong attack at that. Its cost is 4 colorless energy and it does 100 damage, but if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Tera Pokemon, it does an additional 230 more damage. That is a very specific number because I'm pretty sure the maximum amount of HP a Tera Pokemon can have is 230, not 230, 330 if we're talking evolutions. Charizard is 330, I'm not sure if there's any 340 HP. Seems to be a very specific number for a very specific reason. So this card is a lot stronger than what it may seem. You may think, oh, the energy requirement is way too much, it's going to get KO'd way before then. But this deck can actually fit very well into two specific decks. Lost Box and also Lugia. Any deck that can just accelerate out a lot of energy very, very quickly. Lost Box can do that with stuff like Mirage Gate, and Lugia can do that with Lugia and Archeops. It can accelerate out 2 special energy straight from the deck. Now, Lugia already has a Pokemon that can deal with these high HP, evolution Pokemon. That being Cincino, which its special roll attack for 2 colorless does 70 damage for every special energy attached onto it. So if you attach 4 special energy, that's 7 times 4, that's 280. If you're manually attached, that's another 70. That's what, 350? That is more than enough to KO anything. Even if it has a double colorless, that's minus 20, so 330. Still enough to KO any Pokemon in the format. However, the thing about Cincino is that it's pretty easy to KO because it has 110 HP, so stuff like Dusknoir can very easily take care of it. You also have Kyurem, which can hit 110 to 3 Pokemon, compared to Regigigas, which has 160. Your opponent is going to have to Dusknoir and then try and find that additional 30 damage, but it can also KO Tera Pokemon for less energy. Well, 1 less energy. But that's just the bit of a downside, is that the attack only does 100 and then it does an additional 232 Tera Pokemon. And if we have a look at the format, there's only a couple of Tera specific Pokemon and decks running rampant. Of course, Regidrago has, Teal Mask Ogapon, which Lugia can already easily KO with Lugia V-Star itself. It can do 220. Raging Bolt also plays Teal Mask Ogapon, which again is very easy for most decks to knock out because it has low HP. Terrapagos has 230. Cincino is again just an easier choice for the deck, and also other decks like Lost Box can just use Pikachu, it could use Blood Moon Ursa Luna, it could use just pretty much anything else. Dragapult, it could see play against stuff like that because again with Cincino you're going to need 5 energy. Not only that, it's a stage 1, so you're going to need to evolve your Mincino into Cincino and then get 5 energy onto Cincino, whereas with Regigigas you can just bench it, attach 4 energy, bring it up into the active and hit for knockout. And again against stuff like Charizard, it's the same type of thing. And then everything else in the format is kind of just non-Stellar EX Pokemon. Miraidon, it's not a Tera. Gardevoir, it's not a Tera. Raging Bolt itself is not a Tera. Rory Moon is not a Tera, Archelodon isn't a Tera, Gouging Fire isn't a Tera, all that kind of stuff. But I still think the card could see play as just like a one-of in these type of energy acceleration decks like Lugia, like Lost Box, because there's always the possibility of you prizing something like Cincino or Pikachu or anything like that. If we look at some deck lists there, Lugia is starting to play more Cincino and more Mincino. They used to play only a couple, like a 1-1 or a 2-2, 2-1 line or something like that. They're now playing about 3-3, 2-2. The chances of you prizing all of them is very low, but even then if you do end up prizing like a couple of them and you're not able to get them out, because again it is going to take a turn because you need to bench Mincino, hope it doesn't get knocked out, then evolve it into Cincino and then attach the energy. Whereas with Regigigas you can just nest ball it, attach the energies with Archeops, bring it up into the active and swing for a knockout. Again with stuff like Lost Box. Lost Box plays the new Pikachu obviously, but Pikachu only does 300 damage and you need to have the Gravity Mountain in play if you want to KO those high HP evolution Terras, whereas instead you can just bench bench Regigigas, use 2 Mirage Gate, and then swing for knockout. You don't need any additional cards in play, it just does the amount of damage needed to KO any Tera Pokemon EX. However, the card does become pretty useless if you're not up against a Tera deck, or your opponent doesn't have any Tera Pokemon in play. So while the card does have its downsides and it does have its upsides compared to other cards that these types of decks are playing, it could still see play as a little, maybe a one of. It's there if you need it, and if you know you're not up against a Pokemon or a deck that's playing Tera Pokemon, you could obviously use it as discard fodder, you could put it into the Lost Zone if you get off of something like Comfy, if you know it's not going to be needed. Because the only real things that it deals with very well is Charizard and Dragapult. That's kind of it. Those are the only two like very high HP evolution Pokemon. Again, Lost Zone has to use Pikachu and then Gravity Mountain in order to lower the HP, otherwise it's going to take 2 attacks. Lugia requires 5 energy on a Cincino, which you need to double Archeops and then hope you have an energy in hand. Plus not only that, you need to wait a turn to evolve Mincino into Cincino. So the card will probably see play inside of these type of, energy acceleration type of decks. Not to mention that Lugia and Lost Box will be rotating next year, so this card will kind of lose its playability unless we get another deck that is very good at accelerating out lots of energy, which we'll just have to wait and see. But this card will probably see a decent amount of play once Prismatic Evolution becomes standard legal. I believe the set releases the day of Birmingham Regional, but that doesn't mean it's going to be legal because it will be legal 2 weeks after. And we don't know when the next rotation is, so it could see play at the European International Championship. I'm not sure what regionals are taking place at the beginning of February, but we'll have to just wait and see then if the card sees its time in the spotlight. For as little time in the spotlight that it may see. And that is all I have to say about this card. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this card is good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it will see play inside of these heavy energy acceleration decks like Lost Box and Lugia? I don't think it will replace stuff like Pikachu, stuff like Cincino. I just think it will just be another option for those decks if they're not able to get those Pokemon established and into play. But I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that nonsense. And I'll see you in the next video, whatever that may be. Take care.